Good evening, I'm Ian Hanamansi. Tens of thousands of protesters take to the streets of Montreal. Black Lives Matter! Their message to the world and Quebec's premier. One Ontario family searches for justice after their son was fatally shot by police.
This guy should get 26 years in prison, the same age as my son.
You guys all have masks and gloves with you?
Taking flight in the age of COVID, how Canadian tourism operators plan to bring their businesses back. And what protesters in England did with this statue of a slave trader. This is The National. What started as a response to George Floyd's killing by police has now become a rallying cry across the United States, Canada, and much of the world. The streets in many parts of this country full once again this weekend. In the midst of a global pandemic, a relentless demand for justice.
We're the Black fighting for peace.
It's become a moment of solidarity, the kind of mass coming together that we haven't seen since before COVID-19. Anger and frustration felt in cities across Canada, but also hope as thousands marched against anti-Black racism and police brutality today and yesterday. With peaceful demonstrations spreading from St. John's to Whitehorse, Montreal to Toronto, and Calgary to Regina. On the ground, their voices speaking about divisions with a united message. Tonight, 13 days after Floyd's death in Minneapolis, many in Canada calling for change here. And that passion was evident in Montreal today, where tens of thousands marched, saying they want an end to anti-Black racism and police brutality. Jayla Bernstein brings us some of those voices.
A sea of people who've had enough. Incredibly, despite the numbers, it was mostly peaceful, except for a few small scuffles with police after almost everyone had gone home.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
Police mostly kept their distance, giving protesters the space to voice their message.
But not all cops are bad. 90% of cops are good. You know what I tell them, cops? How come 4 out of 4 cops were not good for George Floyd?
I'm here against police brutality, against indigenous population, against Black people, against minorities.
I know what it feels like to be discriminated by the police and harassed, because I've seen that most of my life up north, and it needs to stop.
That message, a stark contrast to the Premier's recent comments that systemic discrimination does not exist in Quebec.
No justice! No peace!
There were calls for people with privilege to do more than be non-racist, but to speak out and act.
You can think I'm not racist, I have Black friends and everything, I have no problem with them, but it's not enough. When police attacks us, it's not enough. You have to do concrete changes.
Something this woman says she's working hard to do.
Je reconnais le fait qu'en tant que blanche,
as a white, middle-class woman, she says she can never understand what it is to experience systemic racism, but she's using her privilege to stand up for what's right. Some took heart in seeing people from all backgrounds join the rally. This family wanted their children to see it firsthand. She says, I want my daughter to see that it's not just a question of skin color, but of humanity. Her daughter's hope is things will change by the time she's grown up. I hope racism will no longer exist, she says. I hope it disappears. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Montreal.
There is a renewed call in Canada for police to wear body cams that record how they treat the public. Tally Ricci heard that loud and clear at a protest just west of Toronto.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
The message here in Mississauga is just as loud as in other cities.
When bad things are happening in my community, for my people, I'm doing anything I can to help the future.
Thousands marched through the city's core, echoing chants being heard on streets across North America.
No peace! No peace!
Every human being that that has darker skin and can experience some of these things that we're seeing coming up now, but it's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it needs to end.
Now, part of the message in today's protest in Mississauga is a push for Peel Regional Police to wear body cameras. It's been supported by Mississauga and Brampton's mayor, and there's also been a petition started in the community.
The body cam lets us know, lets the public know, lets everybody know you are being watched and you need to do the right thing.
But one expert says calls to defund the police and to widely use body cameras don't go hand in hand.
You know, if people are seeing police injuring or violence, they don't want to fund them. But at the same time, when you call for body cameras, they think that's going to increase accountability. That's a huge expense.
Peel Regional Police say a report on body cams will be presented at a board meeting this month. Toronto's police chief says the plan to equip its officers is nearly in place, but he hasn't confirmed the price tag.
There comes a time when things just have to end, and right now is the best time to do it.
And I hope that by the time they have kids, they won't have to do this, but at least they can remember and know that they were part of a change.
There were many children taking part, like Jasmine Headley, who shared a song with us.
Our eyes unafraid, our eyes up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Mississauga, Ontario.
And tonight we're hearing allegations of violence by Canadian police against Indigenous people. In Alberta, an investigation has been launched after a chief says he was beaten and arrested by the RCMP. Anita Bath has been looking into this for us. Anita?
Ian, take a look at this. Chief Alan Adams says he was assaulted by RCMP officers when he, his wife, and niece were leaving a local casino in downtown Fort McMurray on March 10th. Adam admits the registration on his truck was expired, but says everything escalated when he questioned officers.
You don't have to.
Get back! Get back! Go back in the car now! Go back in the car now!
You don't have to kill me.
Okay, good stuff. Now go back in the car now!
I dropped to my knees. Slowly I could feel that I was going unconscious, but all I could remember that my blood was just gushing out of my mouth.
Adam has been charged with resisting arrest and assaulting a police officer. Another video was captured by police, and after review, the RCMP says the actions were reasonable and Adam was resisting arrest. But Adam is calling on the force to release that video to the public. Alberta's Serious Incident Response Team has now started an investigation. And as protests against anti-Black racism continue across North America, Indigenous women here in BC say not enough is being done to address racism by police against them either.
They've been assaulted by the police, that police have used excessive force against them, that they've been given bylaw tickets that appear to be baseless. We are over-policing and over-incarcerating Indigenous people.
Stories like that are coming out across the country now, many hoping this outcry for change will produce results. Ian?
All right, Anita, thank you. Now, even once a complaint is made against a police officer, there's no guarantee of a quick solution. And as Brian Stewart explained, some say that undermines the whole system.
In this video from 2010, a woman with a disability was pushed to the ground in Vancouver. The officer was eventually suspended for 6 days, 4 years after the complaint was first filed.
Unfortunately, it's unsurprising. There are some really core access to justice issues around police accountability.
This BC legal advocate says part of the issue is that it's difficult for vulnerable groups to even file complaints.
People think that because there are no complaints filed, there are no issues. But really, it's a result of upstream barriers to accessing complaint systems.
The agencies which investigate police conduct and complaints vary from province to province, and it also depends if an officer is a member of the RCMP or a municipal police service.
There's a broad spectrum in Canada of the way forces deal with complaints and professional standards.
In the case of the RCMP, it could take years to get a response. A report from an independent commission into the 2016 shooting death of Colton Bushy, for example, still isn't public because the RCMP hasn't signed off on it.
The public expects answers, And the police members themselves who are under investigation expect expeditious, professional, competent answers to difficult questions that the public is raising.
Hi, everybody.
And there are many right now. Last week, Chantel Moore, an Indigenous woman, was shot dead by an officer with the Edmundston Police after an apparent wellness check. Police say she was making threats while holding a knife. Experts say oversight agencies should collect and publish demographic data for all of these cases.
Then we need to have an understanding of who's actually making the complaint and have a more strategic focus with those groups that are most affected in the system.
A place to start to try and address all the serious underlying issues. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
The protests in response to George Floyd's death have spread around the world, and today there was a dramatic scene at one of those in Bristol, England. Protesters tore down the statue of a 17th century slave trader, rolled it through the streets to dump it in the harbor. Edward Colston was involved in the Royal African Company, which transported tens of thousands of slaves. Elsewhere, people protested at U.S. embassies in Madrid, Budapest, and London, where tens of thousands of people came out, and police and some protesters clashed. Thousands were also at a march in Brussels that turned violent. Rocks from some protesters answered with a water cannon and arrests. In Minneapolis today, the city at the center of this global call for action, a major move by city councilors, a pledge to take apart the city's police department and create something new.
Our commitment is to do what's necessary to keep every single member of our community safe and to tell the truth that the Minneapolis police are not doing that.
The plan announced at a rally today to disband the police department, whose officers are now charged in Floyd's death, and invest in community-led safety projects instead. A majority of city council members back the idea. After days of largely peaceful protest, Donald Trump is ordering the National Guard to withdraw from Washington. But as Paul Hunter points out, how Trump has handled this situation may have a lasting impact on the U.S. presidential election campaign.
Our Father, who art in heaven. On the steps of that church in the U.S. Capitol today, prayer and defiance. After all, it was outside that same church last week that demonstrators were forcibly cleared from the streets ahead of Donald Trump walking over for a photo op in front of the place. A moment that's become a flashpoint for both sides amid the demonstrations for racial justice in America. Trump today tweeting more than once law and order, and his view that Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats are a threat to that. I want law and order, he wrote. A potential preview of how Trump may use the demonstrations in his coming re-election campaign. Even though the move left countless Americans aghast.
By the way, there was no tear gas used.
Trump's attorney general today defended what was done as all in the name of public safety.
There were chemical irritants.
No, there were not chemical irritants. Pepper spray is not a chemical irritant. It's not chemical.
Pepper spray, you're saying, is what was used.
Pepper balls.
Meanwhile, in cities across the U.S. today, demonstrations continued, including back in Washington, where joining the protesters, Trump critic and Republican Senator Mitt Romney.
A way to end violence and brutality and to make sure that people understand that Black Lives Matter.
He wasn't the only high-profile Republican backing the demonstrators today.
We have a Constitution, and we have to follow that Constitution, and the president's drifted away from it.
Colin Powell, Secretary of State under George W. Bush, today called Trump a liar and a threat to U.S. democracy.
And I think what we're seeing now, the most massive protest movement I have ever seen in my life, I think this suggests that the country is getting wise to this, and we're not going to put up with it anymore.
Said Powell, Joe Biden gets his vote come November.
And I will be voting for him.
And Paul Hunter joins us now. You mentioned law and order being Trump's potential re-election campaign theme. Does this mean he's given up on the economy?
Not at all. In fact, he now seems to be hinting at twin messages for the campaign. Law and order, banking on enough Americans being on side with how he's responding to these demonstrations, and the economy. Remember, Before COVID, Trump's re-election pitch was likely to be all economy all the time. Then the economy tanked. But now, and he tweeted about this today as well, he's saying, don't forget that he built, as he puts it, the greatest economy in U.S. history. So only he can rebuild it. Don't take a chance on Democrats for that. Bottom line, Ian, expect a two-pronged campaign from Trump. He supports law and order. Democrats want to somehow weaken that. And only he can rebuild the economy. Don't trust the other party. Will it work? Trump is in a deep hole right now with U.S. voters. It may well be his view that this is the only chance he's got, Ian.
All right, Paul, thank you. Senior correspondent Susan Ormiston met with George Floyd's housemate, the only Canadian journalist to interview him. Alvin Monago met George Floyd 4 years ago. Floyd helped him find a job. Monago says he found out that Floyd had been killed when a reporter came knocking and showed him the video.
How could another human being do that to another human being?
As George Floyd became a household name, Monago's grief deepened.
Every day, you know, I see his face, and his name on the mailbox. I go in his room, just look at his room and look at his shoes, and they're like, wow, Floyd's not coming home.
Susan Ormiston's full interview with George Floyd's roommate tomorrow night on The National. Some good news today on the fight against the coronavirus in this country. Since the beginning of the month, Quebec has had fewer than 300 new cases a day. And today it reported 225 new known infections, bringing its total to nearly 53,000. Ontario registered just over 400 cases, but half of those were numbers delayed because of problems with lab reporting. And a bit of a setback in New Brunswick, the province reporting a new case of COVID-19 in the Campbellton region. It's a person in their 90s linked to a long-term care facility, the same place that's experienced an outbreak after a worker had contact with an infected doctor. Health Canada has recalled 6 types of hand sanitizer. They're made with industrial-grade ethanol, and frequent use could lead to skin irritation. The recall advises anyone with products in their home to stop using them immediately. Canadians continue to be told to wash their hands regularly to limit the spread of COVID-19. A troubling consequence of the pandemic is misinformation. We know it's happening on social media, but as Ashley Burke tells us, in at least one case, a local public health agency is the culprit.
The CBC say they've been through hell and back because of COVID-19, and Ottawa Public Health only added to their confusion and worry.
I just wonder what source, like who do we believe?
Carol and her husband Brian caught the virus. He spent months in hospital. Ottawa Public Health told their family it's unlikely they would be reinfected.
I feel like they're putting a false sense of security out to the community, and I think it's irresponsible, quite frankly.
In a tweet posted Friday that's now been removed, the agency said people who've recovered from the virus will very likely be protected from reinfection with COVID-19 for months to 1 or 2 years and perhaps longer. That message was also on its website, but goes against what Canada's top doctor has cautioned throughout the entire pandemic.
We don't understand enough about the immune response to the virus, except that people do generate antibodies. And we have to see how those antibodies might work and how long they last for.
With so many unknowns, doctors say telling people they have immunity could cause harm.
There is the possibility that some people may have a false sense of security, believe they're immune, and get themselves into trouble if they were reinfected.
I think part of the confusion is how it's been read.
Ottawa's Chief Medical Officer of Health says the website has been updated in response to CBC's story.
We've taken the feedback that that's not clear and that that's sending the wrong message, and so we've changed our messaging.
The message has been corrected, but could have a lasting impact.
When there's a misstep like this, it erodes public trust, and it makes it more difficult for us to say that, right? To say, turn to these entities for the best advice.
All of this shows how public health agencies are scrambling to keep up with science that's quickly evolving, at a critical time when Canadians need clarity, not confusion. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
And here's an impact of COVID-19 we weren't expecting: excessive speeding. Police say drivers are taking advantage of near-empty streets. But as Renee Filipponi explains, not everyone's going to get away with it.
On the side of BC's busiest highway, RCMP Constable Mike Moore takes his time waiting for someone not to. When a car speeds by, he jumps into action. Police say speeding has become all too common since COVID-19 restrictions.
I stopped you for speeding today. If you could just hold up your driver's license for me, please.
The driver admits quiet roads are partially to blame for his speed.
The traffic is not too much, right? So, enjoy the ride.
He was speeding, but not nearly as fast as some drivers Constable Moore has pulled over in recent weeks.
This is a 90-kilometer-an-hour zone, and I have caught some folks doing, 170 kilometers an hour. Some people took it upon themselves to think that, this is the Wild West now. I'm going to open it up on these barren roads.
This video was shot in Toronto, a 21-year-old doing stunts in a busy intersection. And this, filmed by a driver in the UK at speeds of 200 miles an hour. That's equal to more than 320 kilometers.
All of the systems that we have, like vehicle passenger compartment areas that are maintain their integrity in most types of crashes, seat belts and airbags, all of those systems will fail at those speeds.
In an effort to get people to slow down, road safety checks are up across BC. Organizers say most people who drive by slow down.
For the few that can't, we have enforcement, and they'll get a ticket. And for those that are 40 over the limit, they're going to have their vehicle impounded.
As lockdown measures ease, more cars are returning to the roads, and along with them, more enforcement officers who say they are ready to ticket or tow to keep the roads safe. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Burnaby.
There's a heavy police presence in a town in eastern Ontario tonight amid a hunt for an active shooter. 2 buildings are on fire in the town of Parham, Ontario, north of Kingston. We're told one of them is a church. The mayor says a suspect shot at firefighters as they arrived at the buildings and struck a bystander, though she says the injury is not serious. Police say they're looking for a white male suspect named Brian Daniel Mosher. Residents are being told to shelter in place. There are roadblocks set up just outside of town, and people are being told to avoid the area. There's a power outage in the area as well. The death of George Floyd has prompted one Ontario family to speak openly for the first time about what happened to their son.
What are you hoping to get from that investigation?
Justice. This guy should get 26 years in prison.
Up next, breaking their silence after police shot and killed their son. Plus, inside a busy hospital that's figuring out how to safely open up more medical services. And Canada's tourism industry is hoping you'll take a different kind of vacation this year.
You guys all have masks and gloves with you?
Empty seats, empty rooms, and plenty of PPE. We'll be right back after this.
Justice! No peace! No racist! No peace!
Across Canada, a chorus of anger and defiance. Protesters demanding an end to police violence that targets people of color.
I have a black son. I felt that I needed to be here to take a stand so that he can see that.
And I'm scared for my kids. I'm scared for my kids. I want a brighter future for them. I want so much for them, and I don't want nobody to come take their lives. Nobody. I carried them for 9 months. No one has the right to touch them, to abuse them, to mistreat them, to make them feel less than.
For one Ontario family, that fear became a heartbreaking reality. Tonight, DeAndre Campbell's parents are speaking out for the first time about their 26-year-old son and how he was killed by police in his own home. The Fifth Estate's Mark Kelly has this exclusive interview.
As protests rage across Canada and the U.S., the Campbells quietly bury their dead. The unshakable bond of family ripped apart by 2 police officers and 2 bullets.
DeAndre is gone. And he's gone in a very sad way. A way in which we have now seemed to become familiar. The brutality of our young men by law enforcement.
It's not easy to bury your son when you know it's not corona or an accident or cancer or some crazy disease.
This is DeAndre Campbell celebrating his 26th birthday. it would be his last.
He had big dreams. He always said that, like, if I win the lottery, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy a car, I'm gonna buy a big house, you know. He always lived outside the box. He never looked at anything in a negative way.
But the young man with big dreams and a big heart was also struggling with schizophrenia. The family says they'd called police on 4 or 5 different occasions to take DeAndre to the hospital, concerned about his well-being.
Who called 911 that day?
DeAndre called 911 that day. Don't come and take someone's life when they're calling for help.
It was Monday, April 6th, and the family was making dinner when there was a knock at the door. 2 officers from Peel Regional Police arrived answering DeAndre's call.
If he's looking for help and if he's the one that's calling, he shouldn't have ended up 6 feet under. Now when I have to walk to a graveside with my siblings, it hurts me to know that's the reason where I'm going for him. Like, that hurts. He didn't deserve it.
Here's what we know. The police arrived and found DeAndre in the kitchen holding a knife. After a brief encounter, the officers shocked DeAndre with their tasers. Moments later, one of the officers shot him dead.
How is that possible? The guy's not a criminal. He's not wanted. You only shoot down wanted people, right? Or they come in the house and murder him just like that.
Ontario's Special Investigations Unit, which independently examines all fatal police shootings in the province, is now looking into exactly what transpired in those last minutes of DeAndre Campbell's young life. This is a burning issue that is bigger than any one life. Protests across the country have given voice to the belief there is an anti-black, anti-Indigenous bias that has poisoned police forces from coast to coast to coast. A feeling now shared by the Campbell family.
Do you think that racism played a part in your son's death?
I think so. Yes. Racism is everywhere all over the world. It's here in Canada too. And we all have to put an eye on it and put a stop to it.
Days after the shooting death, police sources leaked details of the investigation to the Toronto Sun, saying DeAndre was agitated and they had to protect people in the home and themselves. Race, they insisted, was not a consideration. Citing the ongoing investigation, Peel Regional Police wouldn't tell us anything about the 2 officers who answered DeAndre's call for help that evening, nor would they explain why the department has a crisis intervention team to handle mental health calls, but didn't send them to the scene, even though DeAndre's mental health problems were well known to the police.
They shouldn't be going to a house with mental issue with guns. For what? They're going to fight a war? Why are they bringing guns? To deal with a mental issue.
And taser.
They're not going to war. They're going to kill.
You think he died because of a lack of experience and a lack of training?
The lack of everything. That whole night until the morning, literally out of all those officers, only one officer said, "My condolences." One officer. Nobody else did. How does that make you feel?
What are you hoping to get from that investigation?
Justice. This guy should get 26 years in prison. The same age as my son. He should do that time.
Because of the pandemic, the Campbells had to wait almost 2 months to bury their son. Gone, but not at peace.
It's time for us to rise up as a community, as people, and to say enough is enough. He's not the only one, and he won't be the last one, unless we stand to do something about it.
Mark Kelly, CBC News, Brampton.
Still ahead on The National, inside a busy Ontario hospital, working to bring more services back online.
It throws off your flow, it throws off just the rhythm of the day.
Struggling with all that protective precaution while taking care of patients. But next, I get a look at how BC's tourism industry is planning to get you up in the air this summer. Right after this. In many ways, floatplanes are a symbol of BC's tourist industry. For the last few weeks, a lot of them have been sitting idle, but one airline is actually expanding its schedule. It's hoping to attract BCers who had been planning to travel internationally. As we discovered, the tourist industry here this summer is filled with high hopes and reasonable expectations. There is a new pre-flight safety routine on Harbour Air. A meticulous scrub down of anything a passenger might touch. Right from check-in, it's clear pandemic flying is different.
Do you guys all have masks and gloves with you? No. Okay, perfect.
But the mandatory masks and gloves aren't just designed to reduce the risk of infection. They're also a strategy to increase confidence in flying. In terms of wearing a mask and fewer people sitting in there, how did that go?
Yeah, it was okay. There are only 3 other people. Usually they require we wear gloves as well.
Just a routine flight?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Harbour Air has been in business for almost 4 decades and says in a normal year it flies about 500,000 passengers on its fleet of 40 seaplanes. But in March, it shut down for a week, then restarted one route as an essential service.
Okay, welcome aboard everyone. My name is Corey.
This month, it's taking a shot at expanding its schedule, hoping more people are ready to fly.
We're expecting slowly for people to start being comfortable and come back. The local leisure, we're hoping passengers will explore BC. It's beautiful in our own province, and we have a way to get them to some unique destinations.
The question for Harbour Air isn't just how many people are going to sit on these planes, but it's also, will they have places to go? The company is advertising its newly expanded schedule under the banner BC Holiday, so they need the rest of the tourist sector to open up as well. Take Whistler, for example. The resort has been closed since March. At this time of year, you'd usually see hikers and cyclists everywhere. And so, for many people here, the reopening earlier this week of the resort's biggest hotel, the Fairmont Chateau Whistler.
Should I do mum first? Okay.
Complete with guest temperatures checked on arrival, is a sign of hope.
You know, we're cautiously optimistic.
The hotel's director says COVID has changed almost everything, from fewer seats and more plexiglass at the restaurants to keeping rooms empty for 2 days after checkout. The hotel estimates that downtime means they'll only be able to offer 30 to 50% of their normal capacity, but they're predicting pretty well all of those available rooms will be occupied.
It's the pace of bookings that are coming in now. It's the fact that we have a lot of regular clientele. And then, you know, while we can't receive guests internationally and from the US and so on, neither can BC residents travel anywhere. So we believe that all of the BC residents are busy thinking right now, well, what am I going to do for the summer? What is our vacation going to be this year?
But it's a really positive sign that they're seeing that there's confidence in the travel market. That people.
The tourism management program at the BC Institute of Technology has been tracking trends in the province.
I think people are feeling more confident, and also in British Columbia, we're lucky. We have a low infection rate of new infections, and so people are feeling more comfortable that they can start doing, behaviors that we couldn't have done a couple of months ago.
But like the hotel, Harbour Air's best-case scenario is well below normal, with fewer flights than last summer and keeping more seats empty on bigger planes. They expect about 20 to 30% of the sales they had last year.
That's what we're projecting right now. We're hoping it's better. We hope things open up and people become comfortable, but we need to be cautious.
Still ahead on The National, black artists take over Toronto's famous Graffiti alley. But first,
congratulations to the class of 2020.
Some of the world's stars joined the Obamas for the Dear Class of 2020 event on YouTube today to honor this year's university graduates. Yeah! Celebrities, former members of government, activists, and other public figures took part in the 4-hour event that also paid tribute to George Floyd.
We can see so clearly what injustice looks like.
And along with the themes of hope and resilience, optimism and humor, including from the cast of Schitt's Creek.
That is the future of this class of 2020. Yay.
So thank you. And may you continue to brighten,
illuminate,
my God, illuminate the paths for many more to come.
Congratulations to all the graduates this year.
There's a hero.
Across Canada, it's been projected that 400,000 elective surgeries have been canceled or delayed because of COVID-19. Now, as they begin to resume, the hospital experience will be very different to keep people safe. CBC photojournalist Evan Mitsui and health reporter Adam Miller recently spent the day inside Toronto's North York General Hospital to document how doctors, nurses, and patients are coping in this new world.
Well, not the best time in my life, but what you can do. I'm 72. For my age, I never was in a hospital. So.
And do you mind if I ask what you're here for?
They want to explore more. They want to put some cameras and check around.
The surgery itself isn't different. It's all the precautions and steps that we have to do to get the patient into the operating room. Face masks, 2 shields on top, and making sure that we're gowned correctly. And it throws off your flow. It throws off just the rhythm of the day. Everything's just stretched out and a little bit more just delayed. Everything just takes much longer than it used to. I think it's tough being a patient, feeling alone. From the doctor's perspective, it's not what we're used to. I'm not used to not having that personal relationship before any type of cancer surgery, and that's what I do. I'm used to looking at someone in the eyes, talking to them, and going through things.
As we kind of open things up a little bit, how are you going to manage that?
We're looking at all sorts of options, whether it is extending shifts, working weekends, working longer shifts, starting later in the day and going later into the night. There's only a finite number of resources available, and if we try to do it all too quickly, we're going to burn people out in the process and at the same time not do as good a job as we can.
Okay, so a month ago.
I finished this corona, and after again I feel 2-3 days feel very dry my throat and feel pain, chest pain.
They're fully alone when they're in the emergency department, scared, not having any physical presence of their social support. I think it's even more important to listen, to be kind, to try to put yourselves in their position. Okay, you did great. Good work. I will put my hands on a patient and say it's going to be okay, because they need that. Remember that they don't have the same bodily cues from me that they normally would, so I try to divert, my expression with my eyes, with my voice, with my body language as much as possible. This is so different. There's no end in sight. This does bond us, but yet we can't hug each other, and we can't do high fives, and we can't hug our patients. It's very different, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel, because we don't know when it's going to end.
When did it change? Oh, I could remember that it was a Sunday, and we heard about it on the news. Elective surgeries are being canceled, and I thought, oh, this is it. Our world is going to change. A case that would take 2 hours is maybe taking 3.5, 4 hours. Just to don our PPE can take 15, 20 minutes to do it properly. We bring the patients in the room, we intubate them, we have to wait 15 minutes. And then the team can come in, start the surgery, do the surgery, they leave, extubate the patient, wait 15 minutes.
Our hours have changed, our priorities have changed. Frustrating because we know that there are a lot of people that need to be done. So we want to get them through and help them, and to not be able to do that is not my nature, not our nature. And you know it's going to be a long time before we catch up to get that to where it needs to be.
How has it brought you and your team together?
It's like the walls were torn down. Everyone was supporting everybody. We were all going through this together, and we all supported each other, and we still do in every single way.
I think there's a humbling element to this where everybody again has come together, even from a patient healthcare provider perspective, in terms of just making this work and getting through it, and that this is our new normal. And I think it's going to be this way for quite a while.
COVID has killed more than 7,800 people in this country, and we're telling the stories of many of them through a special series we're calling Lives Remembered.
My name is Helen Lee. I lost my grandmother Fun Hei Lum to COVID-19 on April the 24th. She was 111 years old, a remarkable woman, way ahead of her time. She was born in Canton, China in 1908 at a time of great political and social unrest. At 18, she married Nam Jack Lum, who had returned to China in search of a bride. He had paid the $500 head tax to enter Canada. It was actually the Chinese Exclusion Act that separated our family for decades. Once more, he returned to China and they had 2 children. Shortly after the birth of my mother, he left. At 50, she traveled alone to Canada, finally. They had 12 lovely years together. It was his hope of an apology that spurred her social activism in her senior years. Her passion for justice and equity inspired myself, my mother, and the broader Chinese community. It took 22 years before she finally heard the parliamentary apology in the House of Commons. She was 98 years old by then. My grandmother lived independently on her own in her own house until the age of 107. She loved growing melons in her backyard. At the nursing home, she was a rock star. She required no medication. She walked on her own, whizzed by everyone in her Michael Kors knitted hats, and read everything that the staff wrote. My grandmother taught me perseverance and grace in the face of adversity, to challenge injustices, and to be a good steward of everything that God has given us. On April the 24th, I was outside her nursing home as the media covered the outbreak. That evening, as the coverage aired, grandmother left. I'm going to miss taking selfies with my grandmother. I'd give anything to take another selfie with her. I am going to miss my grandmother deeply because I know that our nation still needs to hear her voice.
And thanks to Helen Lee for sharing that story. If you've lost a loved one to COVID-19 and would like to tell us about them, email us at covid@cbc.ca. And we want to take a moment tonight to remember a CBC colleague. You may not know his name, but you've certainly heard his work. Peter Leo was a huge part of CBC News for nearly 30 years, most of them in radio. As a senior producer, he helped shape programs like The House, The World This Hour, and The World at 6. But what he loved most was news specials, elections, budgets, throne speeches, giving context to conversations and moments that you heard. Peter died yesterday of a pulmonary embolism on his 64th birthday, and from all of us at CBC News and The National, he will be missed.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I'm 7 years old, and I would like to make a statement. And I'll rise up at the day, and I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again.
I love when she slyly looked at the camera to make sure that we were there and rolling. And we wanted to play a little bit more of Jasmine to end our program. She wasn't the only artist who made a statement this weekend. Others chose to paint, transforming outdoor spaces into a show of solidarity. And their message is tonight's moment.
The idea actually came out of when I saw the Blackout Tuesday, people posting these black square on Instagram, and I thought, that's a really cool way to to promote something on Instagram, but how can we physically do that? I started to reach out to people of color that I thought would know some other people that we can kind of mobilize. Next thing we knew, we had like 40 people.
We didn't want to put restrictions or limit what people choose to paint.
Yeah.
Our only sort of specific request is that black be one of the main colorways. You'll have some people doing portraits of, you know, different folks that have unfortunately passed away under similar circumstances of what's being protested. The public is responding very well.
People have already been like realizing that, you know, their empty parking lot spaces or big walls that they have that have tags can be used to promote beautiful messages and powerful messages.
All of those messages look so interesting, but I have not been there, and given how things are going with air travel right now, not sure when I will get a chance to see it in person, but for those of you who can, that's a pretty cool thing to take a look at. That is the National for Sunday, June the 7th. Good night.